Have you ever had an itch that just wouldn't go away? Not the kind that comes from a bug bite or dry winter skin, but the kind that shows up in the same spot over and over again. You try lotion, maybe some powder, you change your soap, but it keeps coming back. If you're over 60 and you've been dealing with strange or persistent itching in certain spots on your body, I want you to know something. It's not always just dry skin. Sometimes your body sends out quiet warnings, little signs that something deeper might be going on. And one of the most common warning signs, especially as we age, is itching in specific areas. Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I am here to tell you the truth. Doctors are starting to realize that certain itchy spots, when they show up without an obvious cause, can be linked to serious underlying health issues. And if you ignore them for too long, they can not only affect your quality of life, they can actually shorten it. In this video, we're going to talk about 4 of those itchy spots. Places on your body where persistent itching might be trying to tell you something bigger is going on inside. And more importantly, I'm going to help you understand what those signals might mean and what steps you can take. Because when you know better, you can act sooner. Let's start with something that surprises a lot of people. Itching in the lower legs and ankles. Now, yes, this area can definitely get dry, especially during colder months. But when that itch keeps coming back, when it's there even after moisturizing, and especially if it's worse at night, there's something you need to know. Chronic itching in the lower legs can sometimes be a sign of circulatory issues, meaning your blood isn't flowing as well as it should. And when blood flow is poor, your skin doesn't get the oxygen and nutrients it needs. That creates inflammation, irritation, and yes, itchiness. But that's not all. Poor circulation in the lower legs, especially if it comes with swelling or a heavy, tired feeling, can be linked to vascular disease, diabetes, or even early signs of kidney dysfunction. I had a patient once, Mrs. Elkins, 72 years old. She thought her itchy legs were from cheap lotion, but the itching didn't go away, even after switching products. Turns out, her blood sugar had been creeping up slowly over the years, and the nerves in her lower legs were starting to show early signs of damage. That's called peripheral neuropathy, and itching was her body's first cry for help. Luckily, we caught it early. She made changes to her diet, got on the right meds, and the itching, along with her blood sugar, came under control. So, if you're scratching your legs often, especially near the ankles, and nothing seems to help, don't ignore it. Talk to your doctor. It could be nothing, or it could be the first sign your circulation needs some attention. Now, let's move up just a bit to something a little more sensitive. Itching around the back or sides of the scalp, or the upper neck. This one often gets brushed off as dandruff or just dry scalp, especially during colder months or if you've been using different shampoos. But when that itch is persistent, and especially if it's accompanied by little bumps or burning, it could be a sign of something much more serious. Liver stress. Here's how it works. Your liver helps your body break down and remove toxins. But as we age, the liver can get sluggish, especially if we're on multiple medications, drinking alcohol, or eating heavily processed foods. When the liver starts to struggle, bile salts and toxins can start to build up in your bloodstream. And one of the most common side effects of that is itching in unusual places, especially the scalp, upper back, or neck. Now, this isn't something you'll hear about often, because people don't usually connect a scalp itch with liver health. But it's a well-documented sign, particularly in seniors who might already have a history of high cholesterol, fatty liver, or long-term medication use. And here's something else to think about. The scalp has a lot of nerve endings. So when something internal is off, like inflammation in your system, your scalp may be one of the first places to flare up. I'm not saying every scalp itch is a liver issue, but if you notice it's happening more often, especially at night, and especially if you're also feeling bloated, tired, or your digestion has changed, it's worth a conversation with your doctor. Now that we've touched on these first 2 itchy spots, the legs and the scalp, and what they might be telling you, we got a couple more that are even less talked about, but just as important to know. Let's keep this important conversation going, because the more we pay attention to these subtle signals our bodies are sending, the more power we have to stay ahead of serious problems before they get out of hand. Now, we've already talked about the legs and the scalp, but there's another spot that often gets overlooked, the mid to upper back, right between or just below the shoulder blades. At first, it might seem like an itch caused by a shirt tag, or maybe a reaction to detergent. But when the itching is always in that same exact place, and especially if it's deep and hard to scratch, it might be pointing to something much more serious, a condition known as notalgia paresthetica. Now, that's a fancy medical term, but let me explain in plain language. As we age, the small nerves that run along our spine can become compressed or irritated, especially if there's any degeneration or arthritis in spine. When that happens, the nerves don't always cause pain, they cause itching, and it's almost always in that same upper back area. This kind of itch isn't just annoying, it can actually drive people a little crazy. It feels deep, sometimes like a burning or crawling sensation, and no amount of lotion or scratching seems to help. I had a patient once, Robert, 68 years old, who came in complaining of an itch that had been bothering him for 6 months. He said, "Doc, it's like there's a mosquito bite under my skin that just won't go away." He'd tried creams, powders, switching laundry soap, you name it, but nothing helped because the problem wasn't on the skin. It was coming from the nerves beneath it. When we dug a little deeper, we found he had some mild spinal compression in his upper back. After working with physical therapists and doing gentle stretching, heat therapy, and posture adjustments, the itch finally started to fade. But here's the important part. This kind of nerve-related itch can also be linked to early signs of spinal degeneration, something many people don't even realize is happening until it starts affecting their mobility or balance. So if you had a constant itch in the same area on your upper back, and it feels deep, persistent, or even warm, it's worth getting it checked out. It might not be your skin at all. It could be your spine trying to tell you something. Now, the last area we need to talk about today is one of the most sensitive, and for many people, the most embarrassing to bring up: persistent itching in the anal or rectal area. Now, before you scroll past or click away, hear me out. This is more common than you think, especially in seniors, and ignoring it out of embarrassment can mean missing something very serious. Yes, it could be something as simple as hemorrhoids or irritation from toilet paper. But in some cases, chronic itching in this area could be a warning sign of gastrointestinal issues, including polyps, inflammatory bowel disease, or even early signs of colorectal cancer. One of the reasons this area is so important is because the skin is sensitive, and any small changes in your gut, your digestion, or your liver can show up here before you notice symptoms elsewhere. For example, if your liver isn't processing bile the right way, or if your gallbladder is sluggish, those bile salts can escape to the skin, causing intense itching, especially around areas where the skin is warm and folded, like the rectum or groin. Another example, if there's inflammation in your lower colon, like from colitis or diverticulitis, you may not feel pain right away, but you might feel irritation, pressure, or itchiness in that area. And yes, in rare cases, itching near the anus can even be an early sign of cancerous changes. That doesn't mean every itch is cancer, but it does mean we shouldn't just brush it off. If you've been dealing with this kind of discomfort for more than a couple of weeks, and especially if it's accompanied by bleeding, changes in bowel habits, or unintentional weight loss, please don't ignore it. It's worth a visit to your doctor, not to panic you, but to protect you. Because here's the truth. Itching is not always a surface-level problem. In many cases, it's a quiet messenger from deeper inside the body. And especially after 60, our bodies don't bounce back the way they used to. So catching things early really can make all the difference. Now that we've covered these last two areas, the upper back and the rectal area, you've got a clearer picture of how the skin and nerves can be your allies, helping you spot early signs of much bigger issues. But don't worry, this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. It's about paying attention to the messages your body is sending and learning how to respond with care, confidence, and calm. Now that we've gone through these 4 itchy areas, the lower legs, the scalp and neck, the upper back, and yes, even the rectal area, you might be feeling a mix of emotions. Maybe a little concern, maybe surprise, or maybe just thinking, wow, I've been ignoring something that's been trying to get my attention. And if that's you, let me say this, you're not alone. Most people shrug off itches as nothing. We tell ourselves it's just dry skin, maybe a laundry detergent, or a part of getting older. But your body has a language all its own. And itching, especially when persistent, specific, and unexplained, is one of its quietest but most powerful ways of speaking to you. So what can you do about it? The first step is simple, but it takes courage. Pay attention without brushing it off. If something itches in the same place every day, or even just regularly, start tracking it. Grab a notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Write down where it is when it happens, what you were doing before it started, and how long it lasts. These little details can help uncover patterns that even your doctor might miss if you only describe the itch in general terms. Second, don't wait until it gets unbearable or starts affecting your sleep to bring it up. Mention it at your next appointment. Yes, even if it seems small or silly. A good doctor will appreciate that you're paying attention, and if it turns out to be something minor, great. But if it's a red flag for something more serious, you'll have caught it early, and that can make all the difference. Now, here's something else that's just as important. Don't self-diagnose or jump to scary conclusions. Yes, we've talked about how these itchy spots can be connected to serious conditions, but that doesn't mean they always are. Dry skin still exists. So does mild irritation. But when it persists, and especially if it's joined by other symptoms, like fatigue, swelling, or digestion changes, it's time to go deeper. And while you're waiting for answers, don't forget about the basics that support overall skin and organ health. Hydration is huge. Most seniors don't drink enough water, and dehydration alone can lead to itchy, irritable skin. So start your day with a glass of water. Keep a refillable bottle nearby. If you wait until you feel thirsty, you're already behind. Diet matters too. Foods rich in antioxidants, like berries, leafy greens, and healthy fats, support your skin and liver. If you're eating a lot of sugar, fried food, or processed snacks, your body has to work harder to clean up the mess. And sometimes that irritation shows up right on your skin. And then there's movement. Even a daily 15-minute walk can improve circulation and reduce nerve compression, both of which are tied to those deeper, itchy sensations we talk about in your legs and back. Movement keeps everything flowing, blood, lymph, and energy, and that helps your body heal. But perhaps the most important thing I can tell you is this. You know your body better than anyone else. You've lived in it for 60, 70, maybe even 80 years. When something feels different, trust that inner voice. Speak up about it. Ask questions. Be persistent if you have to. Don't let anyone brush it off with, "Oh, that's just age." Because yes, age brings changes. But those changes don't mean you have to suffer in silence. In fact, this stage of life should be when you feel most empowered to advocate for yourself. You've earned that. You've been through so much, raising families, working hard, surviving tough seasons. You deserve to feel good, to feel heard, and to live the years ahead with clarity, strength, and peace. So if one of these itchy spots has been bothering you, don't ignore it anymore. Take it seriously, even if it feels like a small thing. Your body is talking to you. Now's the time to listen. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give a thumbs up. It helps others like you discover this kind of important, senior-focused content. If you're not already subscribed, click that button so you don't miss our weekly videos made just for you, covering senior health, emotional wellness, and real-life tips for aging with strength and purpose. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you experienced itching in one of these spots? Did it turn out to be something more than dry skin? Your story could help someone else realize they're not alone and that they're not crazy for paying attention. Here's to you, to your body, your wisdom, and your courage to take care of yourself in new ways, even when things feel strange or uncomfortable. Because living well after 60 isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about staying curious, staying proactive, and staying in tune with what your body is trying to tell you. You've got this, and we're right here with you.